With this, I want to invite the sensational noise officer, who is incidentally a network of disabled women, to present a welcome address. Hello.
And I'm here to welcome you all. Due to the discrimination in both the private and public sphere, women with disabilities are 2 to 3 times more likely than non-disabled women to experience violence, including but not limited to sexual violence. Women with disabilities suffer from double discrimination by virtue of their sex as well as their disability. This results in many women and young girls being denied their basic human rights. The combination of male preference in many cultures and the universal devaluation of disability can be deadly for disabled women. Selective abortion is a related reproductive rights issue of great concern to women with disabilities. Today, in both industrialized and developing nations with access to reproductive technology, it is becoming easier to utilize selective abortion if a fetus is considered imperfect by medical professions or society standard. Legislations which permit the rights of women with disabilities threatens both our rights as persons with disabilities. Certain countries have laws, but they are not being implemented. Like the way we have Nigerian Disability Act, which was passed in January 2019. And as I speak, there's nothing in place on the implementation of this act. We need to see technical committee being set up. We need to see the establishment of Nigerian Disability Commission. We want to see inclusion in all spheres of life. We want to see our educational systems being inclusive. Inclusive in the sense that ramps are provided, sign language interpreters are there to interpret for the hearing impaired students. We want to see the basic materials used in school being converted to Braille materials. We are tired. We are tired of the discrimination. We are tired of the exclusion. We are tired of the underrepresentation of women and girls with disabilities. And we are here to say enough is enough. In commemoration of International Women's Day 2020, this project is being supported by ActionAid Nigerian Project and Global Affairs Canada. This day is a day we are marking the 2020 International Women's Day with the theme Generation Equality and the reality of women's rights. What are our rights as women and girls with disabilities in this country? Do we really have our rights? No. Yes, we are moving gradually. Where we were 10 years ago is not where we are right now. But we want to really see the changes we want to see. We want to see inclusion in every sector. In the world, we have 1.3 billion persons with disabilities. In Africa, 84 million. In Nigeria, 29.3. And out of this number, 15% are women and girls with disabilities. And yet, no provision for this group of people. We have been deprived of our rights for too long. The development agenda has sidelined us for too long. We are here as a group of women and girls with disabilities to tell our government that they should establish National Disability Commission. They should include us when they are setting up committees. In decision-making processes, persons with disabilities should be appointed too. We don't want to see SSA, SA, whatever. No, women leader, disabled leader. We want to be part of the processes. Is it electoral processes? I wish INEC is here to tell us how far they have gone in making sure that the electoral processes are inclusive. We need to start doing the right thing. We need to start practicing the global rights of persons with disabilities. We need to collaborate with each other and ensure that our rights are given to us. Thank you very much.
ActionAid is a global movement of people who are interested in seeing the achievements of people's rights, irrespective of their status, whether disability, non-disability. We see a human being as a human being. And we see a world, in our dream, that's in our vision, is a world in which every human being exercises their rights and live a life of dignity. Having said that, and listening to my sister here, the population of persons with disabilities is alarming and is growing by the day. Given the nature and context of the world, with increased level of conflicts and emergencies, humanitarian issues, we see more people coming into the population. However, we believe that something must be done and that something can be done. Nigeria just passed recently the bill on the rights of persons with disability and the commission, but achieving that to implementation will require serious struggle because that's the usual. And this implementation cannot be done without the persons with disabilities on board at all levels. ActionAid, as part of our commitment, conducted a research recently, and we discovered that there are gaps in our systems in terms of inclusion of persons with disabilities in our systems and then in the way we work. We have taken a bold step, and we have identified groups of persons with disabilities at the states where we are as one of our partners. In Gombe, we have now working with JONAPID, Gombe branch, as a partner for a long-term program of ActionAid called the Local Rights Program. At the national level, we have been building the capacity of JONAPID, and also this event is funded under the global, the funds given by Canada people. They always want us to say the people of Canada, in love with Nigeria. They want to see development, and we feel that the groups of women working in Nigeria can do a lot to achieve the issues, the development of women. So this particular association was identified as one that is formidable and is working for the women. Action Aid will continue to support persons with disabilities in their struggle. We see it as a very formidable movement of people, and then we hope that with this event and the messages that will come out of this event will be fully implemented to the core. We want government to listen to the calls and make sure that implementation takes place at all levels. Thank you very much.
And we must all rise to the task of ensuring, that the marginalized groups, they are involved in the process. Let me speak, on behalf of the European Center for Electoral Support and what we do, on issues of inclusion. Of course, for those who don't know, the European Center for Electoral Support is an international organization, providing electoral assistance to electoral management bodies across the world, particularly in Africa, Asia, and some other parts of the world. And in Nigeria, we operate within the context of the European Union support to democratic governance in Nigeria. And we implement component 1 of that program, that's to support INEC, in its mandate of conducting free, credible, and fair elections. And, within the context of this support, we've taken the issue of inclusion very seriously. As you will have also known, we have other partners, who deal with the wider issues of inclusion, like the Albino Foundation, within the context of the EU, but within the context of our support to INEC, INEC has various activities, or policies, on inclusion. I know that INEC has a gender policy. It also has, a framework for inclusion of PWDs, in the electoral process. And we'll be supporting INEC, to make sure that these policies are implemented before the 2019 election. In collaboration with the Albino Foundation, we supported INEC, in training the ad hoc staff on how to address issues of inclusion, in performing their duties. And right now, we're also in the process of developing an disability inclusion manual, and I also recall that we've also supported political parties who are also key stakeholders, in the inclusion process, on how to mainstream, persons with disabilities and also women into the political prayer. And ECES is still in Nigeria for the next few years. We'll continue to do this to ensure that every segment of the society, particularly, the marginalized groups, that they are given the opportunity to participate effectively in the electoral process. Of course, it's not something that can be taken for granted. Institutional mechanisms, we need to be in play, and that's why I'm very happy that that one of the focus, one of the objectives, of this dialogue, is to ensure those institutional mechanisms, they are put in play and they are robust enough, and we are moving away, from the era of talk. We've had enough talk, and it is time for action. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. I feel really privileged to be here today in the representative capacity of the Executive Director of the International Society of Media in Public Health, as we all know her, Auntie Mojima Konjola. And she has sent her good. She sent her regrets for not being here, and I'll quickly read it out for her. My regrets for not being able to attend this gathering. I salute the spirit behind this and pray that Nigeria will set the trend in Africa to develop institutional mechanisms on the rights of girls and women with disabilities that will give confidence in our body politic and larger society. I am Generation Equality is more pertinent with our girls and women of determination, because disability, so-called, cannot subsume the tremendous ability and determination with which they live day in, day out, given the obvious condition of our society, which challenges any ordinary being. ISMPH is proud to be associated with our sisters, and we throw our weight in every endeavor to situate them adequately in our society. Yours in spirit, Mojima Konjola. Thank you.
National Directorate of Employment. I want to salute the organizers of this forum because they are dealing with a very sensitive area in Nigeria. When we talk about productivity, we're talking to women.
The statistics have shown that women are very, very productive. And then we now have another group again, the disabled, whom have been marginalized. So I am happy to be here. Let me tell you a little bit about the National Directorate of Employment. It was created deliberately to curb mass unemployment. And the NDE has been in existence since 1987. That's over 30 years. And right from inception, 2 groups were identified and given special training. We do training to equip people to be self-employed. The issue of the disabled was identified, and the issue of women was identified. We have special trainings that we do for the disabled. But unfortunately, we have run into a brick wall, which is what I think almost everybody goes through. Because training for the disabled it's a special training on its own. And the NDA by herself does not have training facilities of her own. We use what is available in the economy. Like today, if we want to train people in auto mechanic, we just look for whoever is a mechanic out there, and we send people out there to go and train, and we pay the trainer. We've had to run into problems because most of these people do not have the specialized training for disabled people. So that had to slow us down. We also have a branch specifically for women. We call it the Women Employment Branch. The Women Employment Branch has been doing very, very well because we fit into the society very easily. If you notice, if you've heard stories of the NDE from most of last year and this year, almost 90% of all the empowerment we've been giving it to women, because we have discovered that they're more honorable. Not because I'm a woman, but it's the truth. They're more honorable. We do small trainings. You put a man to go and do a training. He wants quick money. He doesn't have the time to go through a 6 months training or a 1 year training to be able to acquire a skill. But a woman has that honor to go through it and come up with something. So, all I just ask is, please, the NDE would be willing to partner with you. You understand? But especially in the area of training for the disabled. But we would need advice on how to go. We already have a cubicle created for that. And we have a cubicle for women. But can you advise us? What would be best suited? Because I remember there was one time I was in Jos and we did a training. And they said for disabled. By the time we did that training and we went out, those who have the, I don't know what you call them, the skin issues that, I'm sorry, they called them the albinos. They came back and said it wasn't fit for them. And then we needed somebody to do the interpretation for the hearing impaired. And we went around, the few we had in Jos at that time were engaged somewhere. So we had to excuse those with the hearing impairment. So that slowed down the productivity of that particular training. So those are examples we have. But honestly, we would be willing. My Director General is passionate about the issue of women and the disabled in the society. And anybody who is marginalized, he is passionate about it. So we would be grateful if you can make time out to come into the Directorate and advise us so that we can now activate that cubicle so that we can move on. Thank you very much.
Disabilities are generally beyond being a board member of the national body. My heart goes out to them. because I believe in the ministry of the marginalized groups, and I believe in the power of the marginalized group to change the narrative in Nigeria. So I'm not supporting persons with disabilities for any benefit, but I'm supporting them and promoting their issues for the fact that they will change the negative statistics. They have the capacity to change all the negative statistics. So I join Action Aid, join all my sisters and brothers who will be speaking even after now to say, look, listen to the persons with disabilities. What they are asking for is not difficult. We can do it, and it can be done. Let me take that word from Action Aid. Thank you very much, and we are in it together.
Network of Disabled Women, because the work being done here is actually more beneficial to me than my contribution to the network. Is that every day I wake up and I learn. I learn something new every day. I learn about a group of women who do not stop, regardless. And I learned that there is nothing that can stop them from doing what it is that they want to do. And I learned the power of strength in a system that was not created with you in mind, or in a world that does not remember you. But then you are there, you are functioning, you are carrying other people, the weight of other people. It's just a very magical thing to see. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Now going forward, I invited a sister of mine here today because this story is very relevant to what we are talking about in terms of, opportunities and generation equality and what women living with disability are facing. So when I was young, I grew up under a lecturer, Mrs. Kato, and in the university staff quarters, we had this wonderful family we met in the 90s. The man is currently a professor of economics in the University of Abuja, and his name is Professor Jimaza. And he had this daughter, she's here, Dorcas. So I invited her to come here today. Dorcas was one of the most brilliant people I know. In fact, she is one of the most brilliant people I know. And Dorcas lives with cerebral palsy.
Oh.
Dorcas, I didn't know you taking second though. I didn't know you taking second in primary school. Throughout primary school, Dorcas was first position, ended up as head girl of her primary school. Dorcas was up there in everything. But then this is where you start to understand opportunities and how women with disability and persons with disability are left behind. Because as time goes on, when we're going to mention in any place the most brilliant people, one person will be left behind. If we are mentioning who are the women that can speak on issues or have a deep understanding of issues, Dorcas will be left behind. If we're going to mention who are the most brilliant girls that grew up in the university staff quarters and who have a very bright future, they'll quickly mention so names, and Dorcas will be left behind. And at the end of the day, in terms of employment and every other opportunity, Dorcas will be left behind. Not because Dorcas does not know how to do any of the things we talk of. She's an excellent speaker, an excellent person, very hardworking. She runs a business in the quarters there. She's on every level an excellent person. But this is where the conversations about inequalities begins. That this is very practical. Every step of the way, a person who is equally brilliant, a person who has shown that she's equally brilliant, who has shown time and again that she'll go over and beyond and be able to do the job and can give 110%, will be left behind. And this exactly is what we are talking about today. It is that in conversations about, where are young people who grew up in university staff quarters and where are we going, or what is this person, what is that person doing? You will not hear Dorcas's name. It's a complete erasure of a person's efforts, of a person's ability of who a person is. And that is a very unfair world. So what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do to ensure that my sister Dorcas is where she belongs Not that she's helped, not that we consider her, or we give her options out of what is normal. And that is another thing I want to introduce to the conversation. I heard NDE talk about, skill acquisition and all of that for persons living with disability. I have two sides to this. It is that I would feel that, okay, do we not consider persons with disability for normal employment opportunities? But then the indices are also very terrible. I was looking at data today, and 3% educated for men. For women with disability, 1%. So for me, I'm looking at Nigeria like, wow, we are even making a lot of effort, because it is that bad that people will have a child. If they don't succeed in killing that child before the child is born, it is that when this child comes into the world, sometimes chained behind the house, raised in the most inhumane conditions, or even be referred to as something that is completely inconvenient. And that is a problem. And in conversations, in everything, as we are molding the world as we go, we continue to downplay the humanity and the existence of persons with disability. One of the key things I've learned working with the Network of Disabled Women is that persons with disability are not people we have to learn to cope with. That conversation should not exist. Persons with disability are not people that we should do, oh, how can I shift so that? No. I said it the last time we had a gathering, and I'm saying it again, that what we need to do is to normalize. Normalization is key. And so Lois had mentioned that too, that when we're talking, we shouldn't just say SSA for disabled persons. That person, though, can be SSA on economic matters. That person can be a party leader. That person can be president. Those are the kind of conversations we should be having. And so in normalizing these spaces, what does it mean? It means that if we stop saying this is the place we have created for disabled women, it means that they will be in the room with the rest of us when we are talking about a generally good future. Not that we'll say this is the future we are creating, and then on the side, okay, so what do we do with persons with disability? That is conversation about inconvenience. Our conversation should be about normalcy. When we talk about institutions, that should be key. And I'm using this opportunity again to call, because there were concerted pushes this year for several things. We're achieving synergy on women's political participation and everything. But we cannot, as women in different groups, different organizations, different careers, ignore that the bill for disabled persons, this Disability Act, was passed last year, 2019. It clocked 1 year this year. Nothing has been done about implementation. Why has nothing been done about implementation? This year, you would see a lot of noise about women's participation in politics. I'm shouting, Action Aid is shouting, everybody is shouting. Why? Because when you humiliate the government, and that is a convenient term for me, they tend to act. If you shout loud enough, nobody wants to have that wahala on their head. Or let me use a funny example. One time, Federal Road Safety said driving with map on your Google map on your phone was an offense. And everybody kept quiet till one day they caught one of our aunties, Auntie Mary Ikoko. And it caused them so much problem, they had to cancel the law. Right? It is that kind of conversation we're talking of. So the rest of us in other organizations need to prioritize the conversations around persons with disability. And this prioritizing is that we are saying that employment opportunities, they should be there, and not in special spaces. So if you are employing a person with disability, you are not employing that person to come and do, oh, this is the space for persons with disability, to come and help our work for persons with disability. No. What we are saying is, you will employ that person into your organization as an accountant, as a person to do monitoring and evaluation, because they can. If you live in a world where you have to do extra to survive, you are most likely more brilliant than everyone around you. If you have to do extra to survive and you are still alive, you are most likely more brilliant, more alert, more open to learning than everyone around you, and actually more open to adapting to situations. These are conversations we need to have. Instead of having it as, they are like this, and so how do we We cannot continue to have that conversation like that.
Yeah.
So my point will continue to be normalize, normalize, normalize. Normalize them on the pulpit, normalize them in mosques, leading prayers. And we must understand this is the special way this person does something here and the person belongs. And then in our organizations, what's that thing it's not MOU, what's the thing we have hanging on the walls in our organizations?
Mission or values?
Policies, you said?
Vision statement.
No, not vision, I think it's policies. It must be there clearly stated.
Okay, or mission.
Yes, mission statement. It must be there clearly stated that these organizations must employ. And that if we are saying we are doing the fight for women inclusion, we will not do women inclusion and then separate and say, okay, women with disability, after we have gotten our quota, then maybe 10% of the women inclusion should be women with disability. No. They must be included on equal levels, because the conversation around equality is not for one group at all. It's equality for everyone. And an equal world is a better world.
Yeah.
It is that if you're looking at a society where over 4 million people are made to not function because of our prejudice against them or negative narratives, it is problematic. It means that at the end of the day, these millions of people cannot contribute to national development. And how does that work? Let me explain this to you with an example. If you run an organization now, or 10 of us have to do work, and they say 10 of us have to push this car from here to the main road, then you just tell 4 of us that, according to the stories we have been having, 4 of you cannot push. Just stay here. How easy will it be to push the car? But if we say all of us, in the different ways it is that we can make a car go forward, let us try our best. It's better than just erasing people, and then those people are asking, why can't I join you in this? And you say from time before, just don't worry, just sit there. It doesn't work like that. Or if it is that we have an organization and you are paying salaries to everyone, and you just look at one person who comes to work every day and say, I will not give you salary and you will not do anything. How does that work? You need extra hands for things. You need more people to get things done. But you look at a group of people and say, they do not qualify. That doesn't work. We need to understand that the conversation, and we must also point out, the advantages of this, which is what I'm trying to do right now. The conversation around equality and equal opportunity is this: that we have come to the point where the world, all hands on deck, that if you exclude people, you will see it at the end of the day in your economic reports. Look at countries that have equal opportunities. Look at countries where persons, irrespective of gender, tribe, religion, and ability or disability, have more opportunities. You see quality of life in that country is better. The economy is better. Indices are better. And projections for the future are generally better. There are countries that will look at millions of people. You will say, okay, women, first sit at home. Education, women wait first. Persons with disability, out of the question. With each of those things you are saying and pushing, you are cutting down functionality. With each of those prejudices you are encouraging, you are cutting down functionality. So again, let me avoid preaching to the church, because everybody here understands what it is. But it is a call to action. A call to action for persons with organizations that work in other fields, that we need to normalize persons with disability in our organizations. Media, thank God your cameras are here pointing. We need to normalize persons with disability. I said this for women yesterday or the day before yesterday on social media, that we need to normalize women on media for things other than gender conversations. And it's in the same way, we need to normalize persons with disability in conversations on the media other than disability conversations. Because once people, the best way to show people that persons with disability can do things is by them actually doing those things. So if you have a person with disability talking about insecurity on TV, economy, and all of that, people can see and like, they're not, the first time you may be in shock. But that one person, like the presence of Lois in a lot of conversations, tells a lot of girls that they can do that thing too. It was like with Aisha Yesufu and her full hijab that year. And a lot of girls were like, oh, look at us Northern girls. I can do this all veiled and just enter and make my voice known. That is the power of doing.
Yeah.
And so Lois is in these places where it's not even disability being discussed. It's women, it's other things. And she's there, and that representation matters because it shows girls like her that they can. And that is what we must all promote. In the media, there is no special place that you separate. The whole 24 hours, you talk about other things. There may be once in a year or 3 times in a year, Persons with Disability Conference, or the essay on disability to come and talk on the disability issue. We must change all of that. And so I'm putting the weight on the rest of us. Because if these persons with disability, they are doing their part. In fact, they are doing more than their part. To come out during elections that has no place for you and contribute your votes despite violence and despite the places where you are going to place your vote, many places don't have braille, many places are inaccessible for persons who use wheelchair and all of that. And you still come out. For elections that if gun goes off, people can run, and you may not even know that the gun has gone off or you don't know how to run and you still come out. You are doing more than enough. To be able to go to school where people give you nicknames, the humiliation, and you still go, you are doing more than enough. So this message is not for you. To continue to push in a world that is so unfair, you are doing more than enough. Yeah. The message is for everyone else. That there are excellent people in this country who are contributing their quota despite the fact that we reduce their humanity. There are excellent people in this country who wake up every day and people tell them they cannot and they continue to prove that they can. And that our job, the rest of us, is not that we are not helping. We are not helping. It's a duty. We are not, it's not pity. They don't need your pity. They are functioning very well. It is our duty to ensure that in conversations, they are normalized. Yeah. In the conversations about equality, they are front and center. And that their voices are not silenced. And that every space is a disability space. Do we understand this? Yeah. Every single space is a disability space. It's not a separate building for persons with disability. It's not, oh, let them just go and sit at that back because it is. No. Every space, neck and neck, every form of equality is a thing for persons with disability too. And that as we continue to put in our own effort to see an equal world, we will have more functionality, more hands on deck, more people to look up to. We will be killing prejudice. We will be killing negative narratives that stop people's lives, that prevent people from living their full lives, that prevent the growth of an entire nation because we're keeping millions of people under. And most importantly, for women, we will be contributing to the conversation around equality. Equality for everyone and the future of the girl child. A better future for the girl child, a better future for a breed of young girls who know that nothing can stop them. Nothing at all. No form of disability, no form of no skin color, no skin tone, nothing can stop them from being who it is they want to be. Yeah. And for a lot of those girls, they already know, let's point that out, that as we grew up, Dorcas Jimaza knew that she was going to keep doing and going to keep on being excellent. You know who did not know? It was the rest of us. And I will end this with saying that there are a group of people who know that they are great, who are adding their own quota to this nation, who are doing their very best. And then there are a group of us who need to catch up. And that time is now. Thank you very much.